and gentlemen, it is a true pleasure for me to be invited to speak today at this side event. Violence against children includes, and more than often originates from the recruitment of children for the purposes of terrorism. Victims are often found in regions of impoverishment, violence, and political volatility. They often carry certain major features such as limited education, lack of work opportunities, lack of family support, such as being orphans, runaways, homeless, or having family involved in illicit activities. They sometimes have a history of previous abuse and mental health issues. Terrorist recruiters, in general terms, target helpless individuals who live in unstable regions. War-torn states create the so-called desired conditions where thousands of displaced persons, including children, become a perfect prey once they already lack safe and secure shelter, reliable guardians, and opportunities for positive development. The social class stratification exacerbates these conditions and leaves those individuals into a catch-22 situation where the only channels towards advancement remain the unlawful and violent ones. Taking terrorism in Pakistan as a case study, it has been observed that terrorist organizations mainly originated as a result from the state's policy of supporting other terrorist groups in its neighboring countries. Consequently, the country became a hotbed for Islamic Jihad and the training of jihadis. Alongside its frontiers with Afghanistan and India, and within Pakistan itself, the state hosts a big number of madrasas. These Islamic schools are considered by many families in Pakistan as the only realistic option towards access of education for their children, especially among those who come from poor backgrounds, since the madrasas provide food and shelter to their students. Poverty has helped in expanding the enrollment in these pseudo-educational establishments, since they proved a successful strategy of generating loyalty and unconditional obedience through the elevation of the aspects of deprivation. The madrasas are usually in remote areas and maintain a limited number of students so that they do not draw significant attention. The juveniles are refused any contact with the outside world and are indoctrinated in sectarian extremism, hatred for non-Muslim and anti-Western beliefs. Such recruitment methods used to lure children from poor disadvantaged areas to join religiously indoctrinated establishments are similar to those grooming processes utilized by human traffickers when trying to lure women and young girls to leave their families and friends. Often the dependency and trust of the children are gained through showing sentiments of praise and affection. In Kunduz province, for example, the Taliban increasingly use madrasas to provide military training to children between the ages of 13 and 17 in order to deploy them in various military operations. Madrasas serve the Taliban not only through religiously indoctrinating the students there, but also through offering combat training. In an analysis of the profiles of suicide bombers who have struck in Punjab, Pakistan, the law enforcement has reported that more than 2/3 of them had also attended madrasas. Not only children have suffered disproportionately in military conflicts, they've also been used for carrying out insurgent activities like fighting, espionage, and blowing up improvised explosive devices. One of the most chilling factors is the increasing number of child suicide bombers. Children are recruited simply for being children, easily influenced in the righteousness of jihad, and less likely to arouse suspicion. They are often told that their mothers and sisters would be raped by the foreign invaders, or that the enemy they intend to kill deserves to die because of being a non-Muslim. Some terrorist leaders even resort to hanging keys around the necks of the children, telling them they'll need them to open the gates to heaven after they commit the suicide attack. Despite the fact that there is no concrete number on how many children are recruited and are currently fighting in Afghanistan, the UN Task Force gives out estimates for the period between September 2010 and December 2014 of 560 children involved as combatants. In addition, the number of verified cases of recruitment and use of children more than doubled compared to 2014 and reached its highest number ever recorded. In 2015, the Ministry of Justice of Afghanistan reported that 214 boys had been detained in juvenile rehabilitation centers on charges connected to threat to national security, including association with armed groups. Moreover, 1 in every 4 civilian casualties in 2015 was a child. Yet, UN highlights that underreporting remains an issue of great concern. Modern technologies additionally move forward the group's objectives and facilitate the mechanisms of radicalization. Social media is an important instrument in the radicalization of individuals and their subsequent recruitment as terrorists. Terrorist groups are increasingly taking advantage of social media to lure marginalized young individuals, indoctrinate them with extremist ideologies, and encourage them to carry out terrorist operations such as lone wolf attacks. The alarming threat of recruitment of vulnerable children for terrorist purposes in conflict-affected areas arises for many reasons. Desperate economic situation, the breakdown of rule of law, lack of available social services, absence of adequate education, and association with radicalized peer groups. As the former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon asserts, if conflict gives oxygen to traffickers, human rights instability suffocate them, highlighting the necessity of guaranteeing justice for victims and liability for offenders, via concentrating on human rights protection and promoting political stability. Therefore, what we need is a strategic leadership in ending war, and also in preventing conflicts and sustaining peace. Radicalization and religious indoctrination must be perceived as part of the whole process that leads to the recruitment of people by terrorist organizations, and therefore the current focus on securization should also encompass integration and education. Ignorance, in this case on both sides, breeds radicalism, with terrorism as its outlet. Thank you.
Thank you.